Now, it's time for Tech Talk brought to you by Refresh Computers with your host, David Leavitt.
Welcome to Tech Talk here on WDBO 1073 FM and AM580, Orlando's News and Talk. I'm Casey Wright here with David Leavitt this morning, president and founder of Refresh Computer Superstore. You can contact the Refresh Computer Superstore by using their free tech support hotline, which is also the store number at 407-478-8200. Once again, that's 407-478-8200. You can visit their website at refreshcomputers.net or go to the store in person. Visit the Longwood Superstore at 820 East State Road 434 in Longwood. It's just 3.5 miles east of I-4 off 434. You can check out their social media websites at Facebook and YouTube at Refresh Computers, or check him out on Instagram at Refresh Computers USA. David, good morning. Why don't you tell the good folks at home the hours of your store?
Well, hello and good morning, everybody. And actually, first, let me just welcome you to this edition of Tech Talk with Refresh Computers. We're happy to be here every Sunday morning between 8 and 9 a.m. The store hours for Refresh Computers today, they are from 11 a.m. until 5 p.m., so that's every Sunday. And then they're every other day, Monday through Saturday. Not every other day, Monday through Saturday, but every day, Monday through Saturday, right? We're open from 9 a.m. until 7 p.m. So we hope to see you folks out there. And, this is going to be a really good show. Like all of them are good shows, I think.
I agree.
But this is going to be a little special because I want to remind everyone that this show in its entirety, minus the commercials, is published as a podcast at 9 a.m. So every Sunday at 9 a.m., right after the show ends, if you missed it or you want to go back and listen to something again that you heard, or maybe you just heard a segment, you can go to refreshcomputers.net, and at the very top of the page in the right-hand corner, you'll see a podcast link. Click on that, and there you are. So you'll see today's show along with all the other shows that we've been able to put in podcast format, which has only been the last two shows besides this show. So we're excited about having this ability. And you can listen to it, like I said, right there on our website. Or we are on every single popular podcast medium out there. So Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, all of these, we're on every one of them. And they will be published at 9 a.m. every Sunday. So immediately following the show, boom, they will be out there. So you can go back and listen to things that you may have missed. So we're excited about that capability and, taking advantage of the technology that's available to us.
Right.
Casey, my only regret is we didn't start this, 10 years ago.
Yeah, podcasting's great. It's phenomenal.
It's just a great way to get the message out, especially if, not everybody can listen in every Sunday between 8 and 9. So now you can listen in anytime.
Absolutely.
So anyway, so the first segment, we like to talk about the tech tip of the week. And this week, we're going to talk about some Gmail tips, right? So Google Mail. So if you have Gmail, listen up. Here's some cool things that you may not know about that can help you in your everyday use of email. So for example, did you know that if you use Gmail, you can turn one email address into multiple email addresses just by adding dots? Because guess what? Gmail, the only dot they care about in an email address is the gmail.com.
Right? That's true.
That's the only dot that they pay attention to. So, for example, if your email address is johnsmith@gmail.com, you own all the dotted versions of your email address, such as john.smith@gmail.com. You can do jo.hn.s.mith@gmail.com or any of those combinations with dots before the @gmail.com and so on. And so you can use all of the letters and numbers in your email address, and then you can have people add dots anywhere in the name before the @ symbol. So, and there's no special setup required. You can just do it, right? And it's really cool because when you receive those emails, like if your email address is johnsmith@gmail.com, you tell somebody, send me an email at john.smith@gmail.com. When you receive that email, it'll say to john.smith.
Wow.
So you can filter those if you want to. There's all kinds of filtering methods that you can use, telling that email where to go. So you can use this to maybe differentiate between some vendors if you have a business. And,
right.
And which, by the way, this works on business accounts too.
Right, like personal and professional. Yeah,
exactly.
It's pretty cool.
So if you have a G Suite account or Google Workspace, they call it now. So, for example, Refresh Computers, we use Google as well to handle our emails.
Mm-hmm.
So refreshcomputers.net. So if you send me an email, dave@refreshcomputers.net, that goes to the Google server. So the same rules apply. I can use d.ave@refreshcomputers.net, and I'll still get the email.
That's awesome. That is really cool.
So that is really, really neat. So that's adding a dot in there. But did you know there's also a way to get infinite numbers of emails with just one Gmail account? There's infinite number of Gmail accounts, I should say. Well, it's one Gmail account, but infinite ways of addressing that Gmail account, and I'll explain. And that's by using the plus sign. So this is really cool because you can use the plus sign before the @gmail.com. So, for example, if your email address is johnsmith@gmail.com, then you can use something like John Smith plus Betty @gmail.com. So John Smith, the plus sign, Betty @gmail.com. And the email will go to johnsmith@gmail.com.
Okay.
And guess what? Same thing. When it comes in, it'll be addressed to, you'll see it addressed to John Smith plus Betty.
Plus Betty.
So another way to differentiate. And so you can add a plus, like Dave@refreshcomputers.net. I can say Dave plus I'm a super guy @refreshcomputers.net.
Right.
And something made me think of Super Dave. I'm not Super Dave Osborne. You may remember him.
Yeah.
But anyway, that's not me. But so it's just really cool that you can do this with Gmail, and a lot of people didn't realize this or don't realize this. And again, even if you have a Google Workspace account, this works there as well.
Okay.
So here's another Gmail tip. Schedule your emails to be sent at a later time. This one catches people by surprise because when you type an email and you go down and you just click send because you're ready to send it, right? Well, right next to that send button is a little down arrow. And people I've talked to about this that didn't know this feature was there, Casey, are caught completely by surprise. I never even realized that down arrow was there. I
don't even know what you're talking about.
You just don't even see it. Well, you see it, but you don't. You're done with your emails. You hit send. Right. But there's a little down arrow. You can click that. And when you do, you can send your email. So maybe you don't want to send it now. Maybe you want to send an email and schedule it to go out tomorrow or next month or whenever. You can schedule it by clicking that little down arrow. It allows you to pick a date that the email will be sent.
Wow.
Okay, so it won't go out right away.
And that's good for businesses, too, because they may want to send stuff out later in the day. They may draft it up 4 in the morning, like, when I get up for Orlando's Morning News, but I want to send it out at 9. So that's cool.
Well, just in case my wife's listening, I mean, not something like I would do, but, I can send myself an email on my anniversary date.
You could.
Maybe I missed the calendar, calendar reminder.
It's a helpful
But I can
tip.
always send myself an email and just schedule it to come in on my anniversary date.
Like a reminder.
So anyhow, I don't do that. I do the calendar event though. Anyway, so here's another cool Gmail tip. Is sending an email in confidential mode. So a lot of people don't realize that this is available also. So, and if you send an email in confidential mode, and I'll tell you how to do it here in just a minute, your recipients won't have the option to forward it, copy it, print it, download it, or any of those. And the email will also automatically be deleted on the date you set before sending the email. So that is a really cool feature. Now, of course, if somebody knows an email might be automatically deleted later, they can take a screenshot. Nothing you can do about that. Right? Yeah. But if you don't want this email hanging out on somebody else's email system, it'll delete. It'll self-destruct. This email will self-destruct, and it'll just go away. So it's pretty cool. So to do this, you compose your email just like you normally would. And before you send it, you click the clock icon in the bottom menu to the right of the send button. So if you're open up a Gmail and you click, you'll see a little clock icon all the way down there at the bottom to the right of the send button. And then it allows you to set an expiration date. So on that date, that email will be deleted from the recipient's machine. It will also not be able to be forwarded, copied, printed, or downloaded. So that's a really cool thing to do as well. If you don't want your emails hanging out in somebody else's machine, maybe it's something that that you want to expire for whatever reason, and you can do it that way. So that's all we have time for the Gmail tips and tricks. But don't forget, you can go to our website where you can read about these tips, right? So because it's a lot to absorb, right, listening to the radio. So we have these spelled out on our website so you can look at them. You can actually read what I just spoke about there by going to refreshcomputers.net and click on the Tech Tips link to see, click on the radio show button. And then inside there's a Tech Tips link, and you can click on that and you'll see all of this spelled out. So you can just follow it and try it as you have time to do it. And again, don't forget the podcast starting as soon as this show is over. You'll be able to go to refreshcomputers.net. When you click on that podcast button, you'll see today's show up there starting at 9 a.m.
So, and of all the tips and tricks and that we spoke about today, the one that interests me the most, which we have a second here to talk about, is the plus symbol.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that you can do John Smith plus Betty Smith at gmail.com.
Correct.
Now, if Betty Smith has an email, is there a way, and there may not be, and that's okay if there isn't, is there a way besides putting in two separate emails in a two line, you can do John plus Betty Smith and it goes to both? Okay, so there's no way to do that.
No, because just think of the plus sign as being invisible.
Okay, so it's just not really there.
So it's really sending it to John Smith, Betty Smith at gmail.com.
Right. So
but the plus sign differentiates, but it doesn't really send it to that address. The plus sign, it sends it to whatever's before the plus sign. Mm-hmm. So it'll send it to John Smith at gmail.com. But it allows you, it just ignores that plus sign, but it doesn't allow you to include two email addresses in that same string. No.
Right. So what it protects it from is essentially if somebody does have John Smith Betty at gmail.com, it's not going to send it to them. It's not going to
send it to them as well.
Okay.
Correct.
So so and that's, again, for businesses too, I like that you can have two separate type of emails. You can put it on business cards. You can put it on your professional cards. Everybody knows out there nowadays with all the different social medias, it's kind of similar where Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram, you're not going to post all the same stuff on all those three platforms. They're all separate in their own entities. So same thing with the email. Using the Gmail here, you could send it on three different emails, but guess what? It goes to the same place.
Right. Exactly. So, or maybe, and when you send it to them and they reply, the reply goes back to the plus.
To the same one.
So, yeah. So, maybe you have, maybe you want to differentiate your emails between your kids, your children, your grown children that use emails. So,
it's only Gmail that does this, as far as your knowledge.
As far as my knowledge, only Gmail.
Oh, we'll see if other email companies copy them and do the same. You're listening to Tech Talk here on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM580, Orlando's News and Talk. You can contact the Refresh Computer Superstore by using their free tech support hotline, which is also their store number at 407-478-8200. That's 407-478-8200. You can visit them on their website at refreshcomputers.net. You can visit their Longwood Superstore at 820 East State Road 434 in Longwood, just 3.5 miles east of I-4 off 434. And you can also listen to us on a podcast. It's on all the major podcast platforms, which will be posted after the show goes up. You're listening to us here on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM580, Orlando's News and Talk. The Repair of the Week coming up next. But first, the three big things you need to know. Well, welcome back to Tech Talk here on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM580, Orlando's News and Talk. I'm Casey Wright here with David Leavitt, president and founder of the Refresh Computer Superstore in Longwood. Their free tech support hotline, which is also their store number, if you want to reach them, is 407-478-8200. That is 407-478-8200. 8200. You can visit their website at refreshcomputers.net to check out all the deals they have. We'll go over those in the third segment of today's show. Visit our Longwood Superstore at 820 East State Road 434 in Longwood. It's just 3.5 miles east of I-4 on 434. You can visit their social media pages at Facebook and YouTube at Refresh Computers or Instagram at Refresh Computers USA, and check out the podcasts on all major podcasting platforms on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify. Check them all out right after the show is posted after today here on WDBO. David, why don't you tell the good folks at home the hours for your store?
Well, welcome back, everybody. And the store hours are Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. until 7 p.m., and every Sunday from 11 a.m. until 5 p.m. So this segment is we call the Repair of the Week. We started doing this new segment a few weeks ago, and it's kind of fun, and it also helps highlight some things that maybe you might want to watch out for.
Absolutely.
Right? In your computer or your laptop. And so, and what do I mean by Repair of the Week? Well, it's for good or bad or happy or sad. This is the one repair that stood out for one reason or another.
I love that.
So this is last week's repair, or this repair from last week. Now, we do dozens of laptops and computer repairs daily for customers, right? So we see a lot. And this one I picked out because it's important to understand why your computer or laptop or your mouse or your keyboard might be messing up. And sometimes it's just a simple matter of a little bit of dust.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So we do a lot of repairs where dust is the ultimate culprit. So dust can gather on your heatsink, your power supply, your memory, or even side ports, such as your USB ports. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. So it can be in your monitor port, your power adapter port, on your laptop, or any opening in your computer or laptop, because there's little fans in there, and they can take in dust as they are operating. So when you plug a cable or power adapter into your computer or laptop, sometimes small particles of dust can get pushed back into the port. Okay, so, and especially so for ports, that's why I want to focus on USB ports that get unplugged and plugged in often, right? So over a period of a year or two or three or four, depends on how much dust you're around, I suppose. Every time you unplug something and plug it back into that port, you might be shoving a little bit more dust down inside. And so that is an issue, because where we see this as an issue is usually with the keyboard or mouse port, right? So the customer will come in and they'll say that their keyboard or mouse is acting erratically. So maybe you even have a wireless keyboard,
right?
And it might be acting erratically, or a wireless mouse, and the little indicator in your screen, the little arrow indicator pointer is acting erratically, right? And so, and a lot of times, Casey, this is because there's dust inside the USB port and it's blocking the connection.
Okay.
Right? So to whatever's plugged into it. So it might be mostly plugged in, which as far as a USB connection is concerned is really not a thing,
right,
that would, that you can consider as okay. Is either all the way plugged in or it's not.
Right.
So, so if your computer is having these kinds of erratic issues, and sometimes it'll cause blue screens, black screens have to occur because dust got in there, and it's the USB port. USB stands for Universal Serial Bus. And what does that mean? A bus. A bus is something that goes across your motherboard. Just think of something that it's connected to the CPU, connected to the memory, connected to the video, connected to all the major components inside the computer is the USB serial bus. So if you have a bad keyboard or dust stuck in there and then the keyboard connection is not working well, that can cause something to go wrong anywhere along that bus. Right. So that's something to watch out for. And there's a real easy fix, of course. You can take something like rubbing alcohol, right? Take rubbing alcohol, unplug your computer first, right? Unplug everything. Take some rubbing alcohol, put on a Q-tip, put it down in those USB ports, and clean them out. You'll be surprised what might come out, sometimes. And that will help a lot of your issues. So before you even have to take it to the store, when people call us, Casey, and say, hey, my keyboard is going crazy, it's not typing right, or we tell them, okay, well, unplug the keyboard, start all over, and a lot of times that'll help over the phone, but sometimes it just doesn't, because there's just too much dust in there.
So if USB, and I know all of this is what I got out of it, but WD-40, was that something that would help too? No? So just rubbing alcohol?
Yeah, just rubbing alcohol.
So USB means Universal Serial Bus. That's the first time I've ever heard that, so thank you for educating me on that today. Now my question to you is, what does USB-C mean?
US Serial Bus Compact.
Okay, US Bus Serial Bus Compact. All right, well,
compact.
Folks,
compact, smaller.
I think they learned two things there in the repair of the week, because I did not know that. I'm going to go home sounding a lot smarter than I did when I woke up this morning. You can contact Refresh Computer Superstore using their support hotline at 407-478-8200. You can visit their website, refreshcomputers.net. That's what we're going to go over next, because we have the deals of the week right after news, weather, and traffic here on WDBO.
Now, it's time for Tech Talk, brought to you by Refresh Computers, with your host, David Leavitt.
Welcome back to Tech Talk here on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM580, Orlando's News and Talk. I'm Casey Wright here with David Leavitt, president and founder of Refresh Computers Superstore. If you want to get a hold of them, you can call them on their free tech support hotline at 407-478-8200. It is also their store number. That's 407-478-8200. You can visit their website, refreshcomputers.net. Check out all the deals they may have, which we're going to tell you just a few or maybe more in about a second or two. You can visit their Longwood Superstore at 820 East State Road 434 in Longwood. It's just 3.5 miles east of I-4 on 434. You can check out their social media websites at Facebook and YouTube at Refresh Computers, or Instagram at Refresh Computers USA. Good morning, David. Why don't you tell the good folks at home your hours for the store?
Well, good morning and welcome back, everybody. The store hours there in Longwood are every Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. until 7 p.m. and every Sunday from 11 a.m. until 5 p.m. And Casey, we're only closed 3 days out of the year. That's it. So we have Thanksgiving Day, Christmas Day, New Year's Day. So, and they're all back-to-back holidays, and the fellas at the store are just sweating it out all summer, and we don't take off Independence Day, for example, because it's it's a day that people like to, for whatever reason, to shop around, and we sell computers that day, and people often need repairs and stuff like that, so we want to be there for them. So anyway, so we come on out. You're going to hear about these specials. You can also see these specials online at refreshcomputers.net. Click on the shop button. So if you can't keep up as I'm mentioning all of these, you can go there and check out all the deals, because every one I'm going to mention today is on our website. You can click on it. You can buy it there. You can say, I'm going to pick it up in the store. You can use a firm for financing if you want to. You can have it shipped somewhere if you want to. So all of these deals are right there, and you have all those options available to you. Another thing I want to mention, Casey, is that, in the beginning of the show, we always talk about, tech tip of the week, and we talked about a bunch of iPhone things. And then now the next segment after that would be, the repair of the week, right? So we talked about a repair that we did, and now we talk about deals, and then we'll be going to talk about our business spotlight later. But we started a podcast, and what's the podcast do, right? So it's not live; it's a recording of this show. So we started. It's on all the popular podcast channels, right? So Google, name them all, right?
Spotify,
it's there. Apple Podcasts, it's on every one.
Maybe, all of them. Tune in and all those. So if you have any of those are your favorites, we're on it. Okay, so Refresh Computers. And if you go to our Facebook page, you will see a post that shows a link to the podcast. Awesome.
Right?
That's awesome.
So we'll post that link every Sunday.
Okay.
Right? So usually in the evening sometime, or maybe Monday morning, but it's out there, and you'll get to see it, and you'll get to listen in on anything that you want to, any show that you want to listen to.
Yeah.
So we've had this request for so long. So finally we're able to do that for people. So here's the deals. So the deals of the week. So today we're going to talk about some Windows desktops and laptops, but also some Apple MacBooks. Okay. So here's our Windows-based desktops that are on special right now. Well, everything's a good deal at Refresh Computers. Let me just throw that out there. But here's some highlights for us, okay? So we have an HP ProDesk 600 G1 desktop, and it's an i5 4th Gen, 8 gig of RAM, a 256 gig solid-state drive, plus a 500 gig hard drive. So I will point out that every computer refurbished now comes with a brand new solid-state drive installed. So we take out the old mechanical drive, we put in a fresh, new solid-state drive. And a lot of times, if they already have the hard drive, the regular mechanical hard drive, we'll leave it in there, right? So it's extra storage. Why not? Otherwise, we're just recycling it, and it's only $10 more for that work that we have to do to make sure that that's there and working for you. So this HP ProDesk 600 G1 is $169.99. So it's just a great deal, and I will say it's probably the only computer most people need, right? So if you do online shopping, you watch YouTube videos, you do these kinds of things, this computer will be just fine for you. And it's $169.99, normally $259.99, by the way. And we have over 50 of these in stock.
So plenty.
So then we have the Dell Optiplex 3040. It's an i5 6th Gen. 8 gig of RAM, a 256 gig solid-state drive, plus the 500 gig hard drive for extra storage. It's a mini tower, so it's about 6 inches wide, maybe 13 inches tall, and about 10 to 12 inches deep. It has Windows 10 Pro on it, and we have over 150 of these, Casey, sorry.
You're good.
Over 150 of these in stock, and their normal price was $379. They're just $239.99. Great computer, great commercial grade computer for the price. Then we have the Dell Optiplex 7040. It's an i7 6th Gen, 8 gig of RAM, 256 gig brand new solid state drive. Has a DVD player in it. It's regular $419.99, now just $239.99.
Great deal.
We have over 70 of these in stock, by the way. Then we have the Dell Optiplex 7060, which is an i7 8th Gen, so it's a Windows 11 computer. It comes with the Windows 11 Pro. We loaded this one up with 16 gig of RAM, a 256 gig solid-state drive, and this is happens to be the number one seller in the store over the last couple of weeks, right? And this one is only $369.99. That's $260 off, because normally these were $629.99. We have over 130 of these in stock. So we stock, one of the reasons we can give such great deals is because we get such big quantities from our suppliers, right? So the price is lower for us, the price is lower for you. So how about some Windows-based laptops? So we have the Dell Latitude E7250, i7 5th Gen, 8 gig of RAM, brand new 256 gig solid-state drive with Windows 10 Pro. Not $339.99, just $229.99. And if you have maybe a small school, private school, some of these are great for that. They're 12-inch screens or commercial grade Latitudes also. We have over 100 of these, Casey. So
plenty for people.
Plenty. Then we have a Dell Latitude E7470, i7 6th Gen. 8 gig of RAM, 256 gig solid-state drive with Windows 10 Pro. It's only $259.99. And all of these are, again, plenty in stock. So Dell Latitude 7480 Ultrabook laptop, i7 7th Gen. We loaded this one up with 16 gig of RAM, a 256 gig solid-state drive, Windows 10 Pro. These would normally be $529.99. We have them for just $319.99 right now. So how about a Windows 11 commercial grade laptop? We have the Dell Latitude 7490, i7 8th Gen, 16 gig of RAM, 256 gig M.2 solid state drive, so it's a small solid state drive with Windows 11 Pro, not $630, only $399.99. So, for the longest time we've been out of Apple MacBooks. We just have been, because we don't take trade-ins, right? So that's what's things that's important for people to understand. So if you come into the store and you have a MacBook or something, say, hey, how much are you giving me for this? We don't do that.
Okay.
We just don't.
Good to know.
We don't, because quite frankly, we don't know where it came from.
Right. You
right?
know, yeah.
So we have 22 years of business, a dedicated group of businesses and companies that we've dealt with over the years, right? And some business or some government entities as well. And so, we know where they come from.
Right.
So these are the deals that we get from them. That's why we get them in such big quantities also. So that's the only place that we get these from. So sometimes we run out of MacBooks. We just run out because
I believe it. Yeah, I believe it.
Because they're popular. Number one, number two, we don't get them in the quantity that we do the commercial laptops and desktops because again, we deal with primarily businesses and government,
right?
And primarily businesses and government. They don't use Apple MacBooks, right? or iMacs. So, but here are some Apple laptops that we have in stock. So if you're looking for an Apple laptop, these are great deals. We have a lot more than what I'm going to mention. You go to the website, refreshcomputers.net, click on the shop button, click on the Apple laptop category, and then you'll see what I'm talking about. It's a good time to get one if you're thinking about getting one because it's a great deal. And when they're out, we're out. So we'll start with the MacBook Pro 13-inch Retina screen, which is the high-resolution screen. It has an i5 2.7 gigahertz processor, 8 gig of RAM, a 250 gig solid-state drive, and the Mac operating system is Mac OS 12, which is Monterey. Okay, it's $200 off. It's normally $599.99. You can pick up this MacBook Pro for just $399.99. So it's a great deal.
Really good deal. Anybody knows Apple products, they know how expensive they can be.
They can be very expensive. True. So then we have a 15-inch Apple MacBook Pro, right? So maybe you want a little larger screen. Has an i7 2.2 gigahertz processor, quad core. This one has 16 gig of RAM, a 500 gig solid-state drive, and again, the Mac operating system is 12 Monterey. It's instead of $699.99, it's only $499.99. So the last one I'm going to mention today, because that's all we're going to have time for, is the Apple MacBook Pro 13-inch Retina i5 7th Gen. It has a Mac operating system 13, which is the latest and greatest. It's the one that just came out, right? It's called Ventura. And so, you go and you get a MacBook today with Ventura on it. You're spending, probably $1,500, $1,800 minimum, right? A couple grand. This one is only $699.99.
Wow.
So, and again, we have limited stock on these. So if you're interested in a MacBook or thinking about buying a MacBook, now's a good time to buy one from Refresh Computers. And don't forget, we ship anywhere in the USA also. There's a shipping option available on the website, refreshcomputers.net. Click on the shop button, click on the laptops category. Inside there, you'll see Apple laptops. Click on that, and you'll see it's probably about, I would say right now, maybe 10 to 12 different versions of MacBooks out there. And
you mentioned, we have just a few minutes here, you mentioned that the Dell Optiplex 760, the one that you have 130 in stock. 7060, yeah. Number one seller. Businesses are buying several of them. Great deal, by the way, $260 off. What is the reason in your perspective of why this is a hotcake commodity? That's a great question because it is, number one, if you want a Windows 11 machine, right? So it has the latest and greatest software from Microsoft, Windows 11. And it's Windows 11 Pro also, by the way, so that has some advantages in itself. The fact that it's an Optiplex, which is Dell's commercial brand, as opposed to, let's say, an Inspiron, right? If you see a desktop computer from Dell that's with an Inspiron brand on it, that's a consumer grade. This is the commercial grade, the 7060. It's the machine that you can turn on and just leave on, right? People leave these on for years. We've talked about that before. Yeah. All day long, for many days in a row, for many years in a row. So there was a guy that used to help co-host the show with me, the late Rob Newton, and I'm sure many of you know him or knew him. And he had one, not this particular model because it was an older Optiplex, it was still an Optiplex. And he had that turned on, and we would talk about it from time to time when he helped co-host the show.
And the last I remember was it was 5 years on without ever turning off, because it also controlled his lighting. He had it hooked up to something that controlled lighting, and Christmas time he hooked up his Christmas lights to it and stuff like that, but he just never ever turned it off. And one of the things that makes it a commercial grade machine is the beefy power supply in these, and that's why you can leave them on so long. The Inspiron, if you open up an Inspiron Dell computer and you open up a Optiplex, then if you look at the power supplies, you'll see the Inspiron is much smaller and much less wattage, and the Dell is bigger, stronger, more powerful.
Yeah, simple as that.
The Optiplex, anyway.
Folks, you can contact Refresh Computers Superstore by calling their free tech support hotline at 407-478-8200. It's also the store number, once again, 407-478-8200. You can visit their website for all of these deals you've heard on the show today at refreshcomputers.net. Or if you really want to see the deals in person, you can do that. Visit the Longwood Superstore at 820 East State Road 434 in Longwood. It's just 3.5 miles east of I-4 on 434. One more segment coming up here on Tech Talk here on WDBO. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Tech Talk here on WDBO 107.3 FM and AM580, Orlando's News and Talk. I'm Casey Wright here with David Leavitt, president and founder of Refresh Computer Superstore in Longwood. You can contact them with their free tech support hotline, which is also their store number at 407-478-8200. That is 407-478-8200. You can visit their website at refreshcomputers.net. All the deals you just heard, go on that website, check them out, or you can go to the Longwood Superstore at 820 East State Road 434 in Longwood, just 3.5 miles east of I-4 on 434. David, would you like to tell the folks at home your hours for the store?
Yes, I would, and so I will. So the store hours are every Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. until 7 p.m., and every Sunday from 11 a.m. until 5 p.m. So in the previous segment, you heard about some sales that we have in the Dell Outlet Center that we have in our store. So we'll be there today if you want to come out and check it out.
Awesome.
So this segment, we like to recognize businesses who have done business with Refresh Computers. So this is our business spotlight. So I'm going to go through a list. There were so many of them last week that it's just incredible. A lot of repeat. So one company is Top Quality Construction, right? They're out of Lake Mary. We reinstalled a fresh copy of Windows for them and upgraded their memory in one of their computers. Justin Clark and Associates. Maybe you heard of Justin Clark, a really good attorney with headquarters in Longwood. They purchased all their computers from us, by the way. They purchased another one of our $359.99 Dell Optiplex 7060 Windows 11 commercial desktop computers. So thank you very much, Justin Clark. The University Club of Winter Park. This was a club founded in 1934. They're a diverse group of men, women, and couples who enjoy intellectual activities and socializing with each other. How cool is that?
Wow.
They bought a HP Windows 11 laptop with an extended warranty. So Interval Title Services Incorporated, a Florida licensed attorney-owned title insurance agency. They're located in Orlando. They bought that Windows 11 Dell Desktop 7060 that I keep saying is so popular, and now you're hearing why. Mm-hmm. They had a hard drive clone to a solid-state drive also, and they also bought one of our Dell Outlet 10th generation Optiplex desktop computers that you just heard us talk about, mm-hmm. and a Dell Outlet 24-inch LCD monitor. David Cohen Productions in Altamont Springs. They needed a new battery for a Dell laptop, and we provided and replaced that for them. So we have Expo Bytes. They're headquartered down in Doral, Florida. Yeah. They purchased some Dell server power supplies from us. How about Rick's Auto Marketing Center, located in New Smyrna Beach? Yes, we get businesses that far away,
Doral,
all over.
New Smyrna Beach, yeah.
They had a computer upgraded to a solid-state drive. Rising Tide Reference Laboratory, right? Sounds pretty important, right? They're located in Longwood. They needed a USB Wi-Fi adapter. And by the way, if you have a desktop computer that you want to add Wi-Fi to, because a lot of desktop computers don't have Wi-Fi, we have in the store that we sell a very popular device. It just plugs into one of the USB ports. It's a Wi-Fi antenna, and it's got everything in it you need to connect. It's $19.99. So for less than $20, you can add Wi-Fi to your desktop all by yourself. So you just plug it in, Casey, and it configures and it just works.
Plug and play.
And so it's a nice little adapter for $20. Another business that visited us this week, a New Step Prosthetics. They're headquartered in Apopka. They bought that same Dell Optiplex 7060 Windows 11 commercial grade computer for $359.99. We had PLC Construction Company again. They had us dispatched to the location to install and configure a network printer for them. How about Osceola County Provisions? Who purchased a few 8-port gigabit switches and some network cables. Last one I'm going to talk about today is a place of not really a business. It's a government entity in Florida, and we love doing business with them. We've done business with them for many years, and it's the Florida Division of Blind Services. So they're a longtime customer of Refresh Computers, and they purchased a Dell Latitude 7490 commercial grade Windows 11 laptop and a laptop bag to go with it. Well, and I want to thank everybody for listening again to this edition of Tech Talk with Refresh Computers. Don't forget that phone number, 407-478-8200, and we will see you next week.